Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to a new installment of Toytrooper. Today we'll be looking at Sideshow's new Star Wars Order of the Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi Padawan 1/6 scale action figure. So here he is, guys, Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi right out of the box. And as you can see, this is a pretty simple figure. This figure stands at about 12 inches tall, and the figure is based off of Sideshow's Prometheus 1.1 body. As you can see, we got the cloak. It's kind of made with this very soft, kind of like a polyester with a maybe like a felt type of material. It's very simple. There's not much detail to it. It kind of looks like a Jawa's cloak maybe, but it's a bit oversized on the figure itself. But in the movies, the cloak kind of drags behind them as they walk and helps them, hide their identity. But I think the cloak itself could have been a little bit smaller. It just looks way oversized on the figure itself. And then we have the young Obi-Wan Kenobi body. It's from the Phantom Menace. He's still a Padawan, so he's not a Jedi Master yet. He has his Padawan braid right here. He has his tunic. The tunic is kind of like a very soft cheesecloth kind of material. It's not neat. So the construction of the tunic itself was kind of it's not as great as I want it to be. And then you have his leather utility belt. It's all sculpted. None of the little pockets or anything opens up, and there's no accessories to put inside them. And then you have his pants, which is kind of like a very rough canvas type of material, but it's very clean and very fine. And then you have his boots, which is like a rubber, and the top part of the boot and the bottom of the boot is two separate pieces. So there's an additional two additional feet that comes with the figure that you could change it for action poses. So here's a close-up of the face, guys. One cool little feature I want to show you guys is this hood. It's attached to the cloak, but along the edge of the hood there's a little metal wire, so you can actually stretch it and bend it to be a little bit neater when you have the hood over his head. It kind of makes it look a little bit cooler, because if you look at the construction of how this cloak is made, it's very simple and it's not neat in my opinion. It's kind of cheap in my if you look at it. So this little wire kind of helps keep it like in place, and also when you tuck it back, you can actually bend the wire down and anchor it to his shoulder so that it's a little bit neater when it's down as well. I personally like it without the hood because you kind of hide the face too much. And also, if you look at the face, and if you remember what Obi-Wan Kenobi looked like in Phantom Menace, I think Sideshow did a decent job getting the likeness of Ewan McGregor down. I do think that they could have done much better because of companies like Hot Toys and Enterbase setting the bar so high, getting the likeness down of the actors and the characters in the movies. I think Sideshow should have spent a little bit more time working on the face and getting it down, because if you compare it to a picture of Obi-Wan from Phantom Menace, they don't even look alike. So here we have Obi-Wan Kenobi without his cloak. As I mentioned before, the tunic is kind of like a cheesecloth or maybe even like a muslin cloth. One problem I see with this material is that first, if you handle this action figure too much, sometimes you see loose threading coming off of it. So what you have to do is get like some really sharp scissors and also maybe even a X-Acto knife and cut it off neatly. I say don't pull on those threading because you will pull off more than you really want to, and you could cause some serious damage to the tunic itself. If you check out the arm right here, there's an inner sleeve and then you got the outside one. It's really hard to keep it neatly in place. Like if you check out the right arm, the inside sleeve is all the way up, but then if you stretch out the arm right here, it just comes out. Kind of looks like a turtleneck for the wrist or something. So you gotta keep that kind of stuff neatly tucked in. Also, I do not like some of the way that the tailoring was done on it. If you check right here, it's very frayed and it's just not neat. Maybe it's problematic because of the material that Sideshow used. I wouldn't have mind if they use a different fabric. They didn't have to use um, this type of fabric just because that's what the actors wore. I think, especially for action figures, there are some things that you just cannot do at that scale. I do not like the fact that this material wrinkles and rolls up so much that if you check, even look at here, the this side is very um, neat and it's like balanced out from the waist to the shoulders, but here it's just rolled up and it's just really ugly to look at, and it's really hard to kind of put it back in the way you want it to, because it just kind of shrinks and goes back to the way it was when you found it. The other thing that kind of bothers me about this figure has to be the size of the neck and also this joint area. I think the neck is a little bit long on this figure. It makes the anatomy and the proportions on this figure look a little bit weird. Also, if you check it out right here, where the neck meets the torso right here, there's this huge gap right here that is really bothersome to look at. And because of the way the tunic was constructed, there's just no way to hide this. He doesn't have like a turtleneck or a collar that kind of hides that little joint area. I wish that Sideshow did a little bit better job on sizing of the articulation point and also the way they constructed the tunic. Sideshow included a couple new cool accessories with this action figure. The first accessory is just the lightsaber hilt. It's his iconic like this round globe lightsaber that he always carries. The other accessory is a lightsaber but with the ignited blade. So you have this cool translucent blue blade on it. It doesn't. It's a freestanding accessory. So the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure comes with 5 sets of hands, and I believe 4 of those hands is capable of holding this lightsaber up, and the other hands are for doing like different type of poses, like doing the force push and stuff. The third cool accessory is this little piece. It's a special hand that lets you light up this lightsaber blade. So it's different from this piece because this is just a sculpted plastic piece, but this actually has a light up function to it. So what you do is you remove the wrist piece from the forearm, and it's actually like an electronic port that feeds power to the saber. And there's 3 little batteries embedded in this piece, and you kind of slide it off like a remote control, and there you go. And there's a little plastic piece in there when you buy the figure that you have to remove to get it to work, so don't freak out if it doesn't light up. And you just have to carefully line up the grooves to this piece. I find it a little bit of a pain in the ass because it takes you a couple tries to do it. So what you do is, let me just remove this real quick. You remove the original figure at the elbow, and you just do it really carefully so you don't damage the peg. But it's a bit of a tough piece to pull out. As you can see, it takes a little bit of force. There you go. So this is the piece that doesn't have the battery in it. What you do is you take this piece and you lock into place. Just be careful that you don't dull out the threading on the peg, because later on it will just get too loose. And let me get the stand back in. Put Obi-Wan down. And then what you do is just push this back in. And the way to get this thing to work is, as I mentioned before, the little globe on the end, you pull the globe out and it lights up the whole blade. And let me turn off the light so that you guys could check it out. So here we go, guys. As you can see, the lightsaber is pretty bright, but it's not bright enough to kind of show you the rest of the action figure. it just you just see the lightsaber Oni, but you don't get to check out his face or anything. It's just not strong enough. It's kind of a gimmick piece. Unfortunately, if it was brighter and you could see a little bit of a Obi-Wan's shadow, that would have been pretty awesome. But as you can see, in a very dark room, even with no light in here, the lightsaber is just not strong enough. I'm gonna turn on the light so that you guys could see where Obi-Wan is, and there you go. The lightsaber was pretty close to his face, but you just cannot see it because it's not strong enough. And with lighting, the lightsaber, you just cannot tell whether it's on or off. I mean, there's just no difference. It's off right here. I mean, it's a little bit dimmer, but you just cannot tell in natural light or even with lamps or anything. So it's a cool idea, but maybe it's just the size of it, or the battery is just not strong enough or something. So it's a little bit disappointing, but it's a cool little feature. So here's the verdict, guys. It's a big pass for me. Sideshow price is at $150, but I don't think it's even worth that much money. I don't even think it's worth $100. I'm a huge Obi-Wan Kenobi fan, and my whole collection is comprised of 1/6 scale figures, but this is just mediocrity at its best. I mean, Sideshow makes some amazing 1/6 scale figures, and if you looked at the Obi-Wan Kenobi Mythos statue, that thing was mind-blowing. But considering that this thing was just released and it's not an old release, I'm very disappointed that they didn't take an opportunity to create an amazing figure and kind of went with this. Just from the material selection of the clothes, the way that the clothes was constructed, and the facial sculpt, it's just a huge letdown. The only cool little feature probably is that light up lightsaber. If Sideshow kind of stepped up their game on this figure and did a great likeness to Ewan McGregor from Phantom Menace, then I think it would have just saved this whole figure and made it amazing. But from head to toe, it's just so mediocre that I can't justify asking anybody to pay $150 for this thing. As a Star Wars fan, I only collect troopers, and Sideshow makes amazing trooper figures, but it's obvious that they're having some issues with their Jedi line, and I don't think I would ever buy another Jedi from them unless they make some leap in their development in producing these figures and it just becomes amazing. So until I see some kind of progression in the development of their figures, yeah, I don't think I'll be buying another one. I do recommend that if you're an Obi-Wan Kenobi fan and you really want this figure, I say wait about 6 months to a year. Maybe you'll be able to find one on eBay for about $50 to $70. At that price point, it is worth it. But at a full price of $150 plus shipping plus tax, it's just not worth it. It won't kill you to not have this figure either. What's really sad is that I actually have a 2006 Jedi Master release of the Obi-Wan Kenobi, and when I did a side-by-side comparison, there's just not much of a difference. Maybe the quality of the material they used was a little bit higher in the new figure, but 7 years down the line, it's just there's no difference. It's just the same problems that they faced back then, they're having the same issues now. So hopefully the fans will tell Sideshow, you guys really need to fix this problem, and maybe down the line, they'll step up their game and produce some amazing figures just like Hot Toys and NMA is doing. So if you really love this figure, try to get it on eBay, but I recommend that you kind of pass on this one. So thanks for watching my review, guys. If you have any comments, leave it in the comment section of the video. I'll try to reply to those. Until my next review, feel free to follow me on Twitter. You can follow me at Snarktrooper. So until then, keep collecting, guys. Take care.